Have you ever experienced that eerie sensation when you glimpse something sinister and your heart quickens, yet others around you remain oblivious? You struggle to convince them of the reality you've witnessed, a reality that chills you to the bone. It's a battle of your senses against the skepticism of your so-called rational friends. In the heart of the enigmatic Middle East, where ancient secrets and beliefs intertwine with the shadows, I was born and raised. Ghosts were never a common topic of conversation here. Instead, we spoke of jinns, malevolent entities believed in through the lens of religion and culture. My upbringing was steeped in the traditions of my people, where my parents imparted invaluable wisdom. They taught me to invoke the name of God in moments of fear, a ritual meant to dispel the looming darkness that gripped my young soul. You see, in this region, acknowledging the existence of ghosts was considered taboo, a defiance of religious beliefs. Consequently, I too dismissed the notion of the paranormal, for it was neither acceptable nor encouraged. But fate had a macabre twist in store for me. The eerie tale unfolds in the heart of the ancient land, amidst the dunes and whispers of an unfathomable past. At the tender age of 19, a group of 12 of my high school friends and I decided to embark on a road trip, a venture into the unknown. The destination remained undecided, the uncertainty adding to the mounting anticipation. In the Middle East, where distances between states were but a few hours' drive, the possibilities seemed endless, yet veiled in an ominous shroud. In the heart of the forsaken night, we made a choice that would etch terror into our souls. 2 cars were our vessels. One, a metal behemoth from the year 2000, a Nissan Patrol Safari, and the other, a vessel of the unknown, the Nissan, a deceptive refuge with its capacity to accommodate 8 souls, harbored a sinister secret, a trunk that unhinged to reveal a 3-person seat, a seat from the abyss. In the shadows of uncertainty, we devised a plan. One car would carry the weight of passengers, while the other would hoard the sustenance and tools of survival. Little did we know, darkness would soon descend upon our innocent adventure. My parents, oblivious to the lurking horror, dropped us at a forsaken petrol station, a place where malevolent whispers mingled with the cold wind. There, we were to rendezvous with the others, loading up on fuel for both our vehicles and gathering provisions. The air was charged with a sense of dread, a prelude to the impending nightmare. As we set out on the desolate roads, uncertainty veiled our minds like a thick fog. No clear destination in sight, we ventured into the abyss, an abyss shrouded in the false safety of our mountainous and desert-ridden home. Yet, safety was but an illusion, a cruel joke played by the land itself. Our route twisted and turned, revealing a landscape devoid of life and brimming with desolation. In this desolate expanse, nature offered no refuge, no sanctuary from the lurking malevolence. We were wanderers, lost in our own backyard, a realm where fear would soon stalk our every move. Unbeknownst to us, our lack of planning would prove a fatal flaw. We roamed blindly, oblivious to the horror awaiting us in the dark corners of the night. The roads, straight and seemingly innocuous, would soon lead us into the clutches of an unspeakable terror, a terror that had been lying in wait for unsuspecting victims to fall prey to its insatiable hunger. In the eerie darkness of the night, our journey twisted along the desolate road, shrouded in a thick, suffocating fog. The moon cast feeble rays, struggling to penetrate the dense atmosphere that surrounded Al-Masafi. The looming dread in the air seemed to cling to our every breath, as we ventured deeper into the unknown. After what felt like an eternity of driving, we stumbled upon Al-Masafi, a forsaken hamlet veiled in shadows and secrets. Our stomachs growled with hunger, and we decided to halt at a decrepit restaurant that seemed to have materialized out of thin air. The air was thick with a chilling silence as we devoured our meals, our nerves on edge. With every passing moment, the darkness tightened its grip, and we continued our journey towards the infamous Juma Bazaar, a name that whispered ominous tales of its own. A winding path seemed to beckon us into its clutches, as if leading us deeper into a malevolent trap. Upon reaching the bazaar, an unsettling aura engulfed the vicinity. The air felt heavy, pregnant with foreboding. I engaged in a conversation with a local, a bearer of ominous knowledge. He peddled a variety of fruits, some grotesque and withered, their essence seeping away. Among them were lychees, their decay evident, yet he attempted to pawn them off at a fraction of their worth. "Do people truly buy these wretched fruits?" I inquired, disbelief gnawing at me. "How can anyone consume them before they succumb to rot?" His eyes bore into mine with an eerie seriousness, and his lips curled into an unsettling smile. "Fear not," he murmured. "If they go unsold, I shall drive them down that accursed road." He pointed towards a twisted path, worn by vehicles but harboring a sinister secret. "Upon my return, they shall be fresh once more." The words sent a chill down my spine, freezing my very soul. In that chilling moment, the truth clawed its way into my consciousness. There was an unholy pact between the fruits and the road, a pact that defied the laws of nature, a dark bargain crafted to breathe life back into the decaying fruits. As we hastily retreated from the bazaar, the unsettling realization gnawed at us. The road bore witness to an unspeakable pact, and we had narrowly escaped its clutches. But the horror of what we had glimpsed in the depths of Al-Masafi would forever haunt our dreams, a tale whispered only in fearful whispers. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting eerie shadows across the desolate landscape, we ventured into the unknown. I couldn't help but let out a nervous chuckle, my breath visible in the chilling air. Arabic wasn't his first language, and my words seemed to dissolve into the darkness, swallowed by the ominous night. Swallowed by the ominous night. Perhaps he misunderstood, or maybe my words had fallen victim to the cruel art of mistranslation. He mentioned something about heading to a farm to fetch fresh lychees. A seemingly innocent statement, but little did we know what horrors lay in store. The clock struck 3 in the afternoon, an hour that seemed to belong to the realm of the unnatural. We climbed into the car, the engine roaring to life with a foreboding growl. My friend, a 20-year-old man, knew of a place his family had visited before, a place shrouded in mystery and whispers of dread. He plugged the coordinates into Google Maps, and we set off into the unknown. As the car ventured deeper into the heart of darkness, we stumbled upon a village that seemed frozen in time. The air turned thick with a sense of otherworldly stillness. Strange figures emerged from the shadows of dilapidated homes, their hollow eyes fixed on our passing vehicle. They sat outside their dwellings, their silent gazes piercing through the car's windows like a cold, haunting breeze. Such encounters were common in these remote, forsaken places, where the line between the living and the deceased blurred. A primal instinct within me screamed a warning. The villagers seemed desperate for us to halt our journey and step into their forsaken realm. One man, a spectral figure cloaked in the darkness, dared to challenge our passage. He stepped in front of our car, a twisted grin on his face. In the dim light, the contents of his tray were revealed, ghastly, sliced pomegranates, their red hue reminiscent of blood. He beckoned with a ghastly cry. "Please, come eat. Come eat. Come eat." The air grew colder, the darkness deeper, as dread crept into our souls, warning us of the perilous path that lay ahead. The pomegranates glistened like freshly spilled blood, their crimson hue seemingly still pulsing with life. They defied the natural order, for pomegranates did not grow in our desolate domain. To possess them, the villagers must have traversed sinister depths, perhaps making a devilish pact at a sinister supermarket. As we approached the village, an air of unease crept over us, shrouding our skepticism in a cloak of dread. My companions urged haste, fearing the encroaching darkness and the foreboding prospect of erecting our tents in its suffocating embrace. The village seemed eager for our arrival, like a ravenous predator sensing prey drawing near. But we dared not yield to their apparent hospitality. Our convoy pressed through the village, its denizens' gazes haunting us like ghosts of the forsaken. The offer of sustenance carried a menacing undercurrent, their true intentions concealed behind tempting veils of delectable fare and false warmth. "They lure you with food," whispered my friend, "only to ensnare you with their cursed fruits and wares." Though I lacked fear then, the disquiet in the pit of my stomach was undeniable. The collective strength of our group bolstered my courage. Yet an inexplicable desire to flee gnawed at my resolve. It was as if an invisible hand beckoned me to stay, to join them in their unhallowed abode. Let me recount the village, a grim tableau etched in my memory. The houses stood like gravestones, assembled from grotesque bricks and bound by a cursed concoction of hay and mud. Their grotesque facades whispered tales of ancient evil. Etched in the very stones that formed their walls, the village was an accursed hive, teeming with livestock that wandered as if lost in a diabolical labyrinth. Roaming chickens, sinister goats, and a donkey with her demonic offspring completed the macabre ensemble. Children, with hollow eyes and a hollowed innocence, frolicked in the streets, their laughter resonating like the cackle of malevolent spirits. We passed a group of boys engaged in a game of football, their twisted shadows lengthening as the sun plunged into the abyss. The village was populous, yes, but its populace bore a mark of dread, a curse that had woven its way into their very souls. As the sun began its descent, we arrived at our campsite, shrouded in the eerie embrace of twilight. The sky turned a sickly shade of red, hinting at the horrors that lurked in the shadows. Wasting no time, we hastily set up our camp, a sense of urgency gnawing at our nerves. It was a desolate place, a forsaken expanse of desert stretching as far as the eye could pierce. The grains of sand whispered tales of ancient dread, and the winds carried mournful howls that sent shivers down our spines. Our camp was perched atop a dune, overlooking a yawning abyss of emptiness. Behind us, ominously looming, were the jagged silhouettes of distant mountains, their forms etched against the dying light. As darkness descended, we kindled a fire, its feeble glow offering meager comfort in the face of encroaching shadows. We huddled close, the crackling flames failing to dispel the growing sense of unease that gnawed at us. We took solace in our drinks and prepared to cook marinated chicken over the fire, our feeble attempt at maintaining some semblance of normalcy in this desolate void. In the distance, a family with 2 innocent children camped a few dunes away. Their laughter seemed out of place in this desolate land, a stark contrast to the encroaching terror. The surroundings seemed benign, but deep within, an insidious fear gnawed at the edges of our minds. The chill of the night foretold that something sinister lingered, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal itself. In this forsaken wasteland, the true horror was yet to unveil its malevolent face, a face that would forever haunt our very souls. In the eerie stillness of the night, we gathered around the crackling fire, shadows dancing in macabre patterns. The woods held their breath as we shared tales and devoured our meager rations. Exhaustion eventually crept upon us, and we retired to our tents, shrouded in the suffocating darkness. At precisely 2 a.m., the cold gnawed at my bones, seemingly seeping into my very soul. Desperation drove me to seek refuge in the tent shared with 2 companions. The last vestiges of wakefulness clung to my mind, obscuring the moment when my fellow campers succumbed to slumber. In the dead of night, at 4:10 a.m., an ominous silence enveloped the camp, a silence so profound it echoed the void of a graveyard. The family we had encountered earlier came to life, their whispers slicing through the stillness like a serrated blade. The language they spoke, foreign and guttural, bore an unsettling resemblance to German. Fear clutched at my heart as I envisioned them, engaged in what appeared to be vehement exchanges, their hushed tones carrying an air of menace. Suddenly, the roar of a car engine shattered the night, its departure signaling an ominous conclusion. The camp was deserted, a desolate expanse echoing the emptiness of a forsaken realm. With trepidation, I drifted into a fitful slumber, tormented by the haunting events that had unfurled. At 5, a faint light began to seep through the fabric of the tent, stirring my friends and me. In the burgeoning dawn, we ventured out in search of a secluded spot for our morning ritual. Clutching a blanket around us, we gazed up and froze in terror. Perched atop a nearby mount stood a spectral figure, a woman, cloaked in archaic garments, her countenance obscured by a veil of mystery. Her eyes bore into our souls, a gaze filled with an unsettling curiosity. Was she a denizen of these desolate lands, or an enigma from a hidden village beyond the ominous mountain? One of us, emboldened by ignorance, or perhaps sheer dread, waved a feeble greeting, but the enigmatic woman remained unmoving, an unsettling stillness marring the air. Then, without a word, she turned and began to walk backward, her every step sending shivers down our spines, invoking an insidious dread that lingered long after her departure. As the nightfall draped the forest in an eerie shroud, my head turned involuntarily toward the spot where the other group of campers had set up. They had disappeared, leaving an unsettling void in the otherwise tranquil wilderness. I reluctantly looked back, and there she was, the woman from the mountain. Her presence had not fully abandoned the mountain. Instead, she appeared to be sitting there, her top half shrouded in darkness, a sinister silhouette against the fading light. Was she patiently waiting for us to leave, biding her time in the shadows? The remainder of our day unfolded with a deceptive semblance of normalcy. Laughter and games masked the growing unease, gnawing at our collective consciousness. As dusk settled, we hastened to pack our belongings, the encroaching darkness urging us to retreat to the flickering solace of our campfire. The clock struck 8 p.m., the world outside veiled in an inky blackness that sent shivers down our spines. We made the decision to abandon our camp and seek safety in the familiarity of our homes. With trepidation, We climbed into our vehicle and headed toward the mountains, our curiosity gripping us. We sought to trace the woman's path, to uncover the origins of her haunting presence. Yet, as we explored the mountain's vicinity, we found no trace of any village, only the ominous stillness of the night. Could the woman have been like us, a fellow camper who had ventured onto the mountain and departed later? The thought did little to quell the unsettling feeling that lingered, her gaze forever etched in our minds, an unnerving reminder of the unknown that lurked in the shadows. In the dead of night, we ventured once more into that forsaken village we had reluctantly crossed the day before. The eerie emptiness of the place sent shivers down our spines. Though darkness veiled the truth, we couldn't shake the feeling that something was horribly wrong. The village lay in ruins, an unsettling sight even for the bravest souls. Houses crumbled like ancient tombs, bricks strewn across the path as our tires rolled over them, amplifying the foreboding silence. It seemed as if a cataclysmic event had torn through this once peaceful hamlet, leaving no trace of life behind. No bodies, no signs of existence, just an oppressive void. The buildings that remained stood as haunting relics of their former selves, decayed and decrepit. "Where are we?" my friend questioned, her voice trembling in the unsettling silence. Opening her phone, she hesitantly read the location. Jazirat, Hamra, she muttered, her eyes widening with disbelief. As she scrolled through the articles, the horrifying truth unfurled. This place, merely an hour's drive from our own city, had been labeled a ghost town. A cold chill gripped us. How had we reached it so quickly? It defied all reason. We hadn't driven for the expected 4 hours, yet the city seemed to have warped time and distance. Then, a ghastly revelation struck. We spotted another car, a haunting echo of our own, mirroring our journey into this sinister place. It was as if an unseen force propelled us, stretching the minutes into agonizing eternity. Familiar sights from just a day before now lay distorted and decayed, twisted by a malevolent force we could not comprehend. Dread clenched at our hearts, for we realized we were trapped in a nightmarish loop, driving through a city that defied the very laws of time and space. As we approached the outskirts of the village, the air grew thick with an eerie stillness that sent shivers down my spine. The moon cast a pale glow on the desolate road that stretched out before us. I sat at the back of the car, paralyzed by fear, unable to summon the courage to glance back towards the forsaken village. My friend, however, was not as fortunate. With trembling hands and quivering breath, she turned her gaze towards the village we had just left. In that moment, terror seized her, and tears flowed uncontrollably from her eyes. There, in the shadows, lurked the woman, the same ghastly figure we had encountered on the mountain, a twisted and malevolent presence, chasing after our fleeing car with a malevolent intent. Throughout our drive through the village, we had seen no signs of her, or any other soul for that matter. The eerie silence was haunting, an unsettling prelude to the horror that would unfold. But there she was, sprinting after us with a macabre determination, as if driven by a malevolent force, urging her to harm us. The car accelerated, its engine roaring in a desperate attempt to distance us from the nightmarish specter. Both the car and our hearts raced, adrenaline, fueled terror propelling us away from the forsaken village. Our minds were consumed by fear, and as I arrived home, the terror refused to release its grip. Sleep eluded me, leaving me to grapple with the horrors I had witnessed. I dared not disclose the chilling events to my mother, fearing it might manifest the darkness that now haunted my thoughts. Instead, she urged me to pray, seeking solace and protection from an imam, a holy man of our faith. Months later, I made the decision to leave the country, unable to shake off the lingering unease that had taken root within me. Time may have passed, but the horrors of that night continued to haunt my thoughts. Periodically, I found myself compulsively scouring the internet, seeking information about the village that had become a graveyard of lost souls. Abandoned since 1968, its secrets lay buried in the shadows, waiting for the brave or foolish to unveil its terrifying truths. The events of that fateful night in 2019 still etched in my memory, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unsuspecting corners of the world. In the eerie tale I recounted, the local fruit seller spun a chilling narrative about his unsettling journeys to a mysterious area to procure fresh lychees. The most unnerving incident unfolded when we unpacked the cooler, expecting to find remnants of melted ice, only to encounter an inexplicable and unsettling sight. To our horror, the ice within the cooler remained in pristine, perfect cubes. It defied the natural order, unmelted, untouched by time. How could this be? It was as if the laws of nature had been twisted in that unfathomable place. The events of that night haunt us to this day, leaving an indelible mark on our souls. Our once tight-knit group has frayed, communication dwindling into hushed whispers. And if, by chance, we do engage in conversation, we dare not utter a single word about that fateful journey. The memory of that night remains buried, hidden like a dark secret that should never see the light of day.